everybody, Brickhouse here on a Monday, and let's talk a little bit about Madam Web, shall we? Madam Web was announced a while back with a trailer release, and I gotta say, Sony, what are you thinking? You're introducing all these Spider-Verse movies that don't have Spider-Man in them. And that begs the question, is this movie going to bomb like Morbius? Or is it going to bomb harder than Morbius? Well, over at Cosmic Book News, they kind of talk about that a little bit. Sony could be tarnishing its overall Spider-Man brand with these trash movies. Yeah. I mean, you've got hits. Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man Far From Home, Spider-Man No Way Home. And then what do? Venom, Venom 2, Morbius. Now Madam Web. You got Kraven the Hunter coming out later this year. Oh, and Venom 3 coming out later this year. But none of them have Spider-Man in them, which is your biggest draw. So according to the article here, Sony's released new character posters for Madam Web, which are just the same as every other poster release, except they're in black and white, and the eyes and parts of the costume are colored. Begs to ask, yeah, how about that marketing budget? Different threads, same web. Madam Web connects them all exclusively in movie theaters on February 14th. Oh, yeah, by the way, this movie comes out on Valentine's Day. Guys, just a hot tip here for you. Don't take your significant other to go see Madam Web on Valentine's Day. Not if you want to continue to have a relationship. Madam Web is expected to be another massive bomb for Sony, which follows Morbius also bombing back in 2022. You know, I still haven't seen Morbius. Maybe I should see if I can find it free somewhere online. Which brought in only $167 million for Sony. Box office estimates should be out within a week or so. It'll be interesting to see if it matches Morbius's $39 million opening weekend. Update. This just in. The box office opening weekend estimates are 25 to 35 million. Ouch. Now, of course, just like the Marvels, and they even mentioned Birds of Prey in here, it's another all-girl superhero movie. Which, as you know, the girls don't turn out for these movies. Well, they turn out for Barbie. That's the exception. And of course, we go back to the Marvels opening at 46 million. But only as the MCU zombie fanboys went to see it. It suffered its worst drop of any superhero movie and only brought in 206 million on a budget close to 300 million. I'm still saying it was above 300 million, but you know. Now, the same thing could happen to Madam Web. And I like how they say here, you don't need to have psychic superpowers in order to know that. Because yes, Madam Web is a psychic. So let's just jump down here, shall we? Speaking of jokes, Sony has to be careful because their Spider-Man spin-off films that haven't been any good could tarnish the overall Spider-Man brand. If there ever is a plan for Sony to bring Spider-Man back home to its own Sony Films universe, pairing Spider-Man with these trash characters is going to get laughed at and thrown out into the garbage faster than Brie Larson's Captain Marvel and Amanda Villani's Ms. Marvel. And just to back this up a little bit about Spider-Man not being in these Spider-Man spinoffs, Madam Web director puts final nail in film's box office coffin, confirms Spider-Man spinoff takes place in a standalone world. Why? That's not going to draw an audience. It's not going to bring an audience in. And confirming that the film will have little to offer audiences outside of those with a specific affinity for the web slinger's female allies or a morbid curiosity towards the fact that it actually went to the Clone Saga storyline for inspiration. Madam Web director S.J. Clarkson has revealed that rather than take place in Sony's Spider-Man without a Spider-Man cinematic universe, the Dakota Johnson's led spinoff instead exists in its own standalone world. These movies need to tie together to tell a story. They all center around, or should center around, Spider-Man. Clarkson confirmed this production fumbled during a January 19th interview given to Entertainment Weekly's Devin Coogan in promotion of the film's upcoming release. You know, besides the fact that they made Madam Web a young woman, which in the comics she's not. Not to mention the Spider-Man animated series from the 90s that Madam Web was in quite a bit of it. Again, not a young woman. She was an older woman who was blind. She couldn't walk. And she could see everything across the multiverse. And yes, they did dive into multiverse in The Amazing Spider-Man. Speaking to her decisions to make a more grounded approach to Cassandra Webb's silver screen debut rather than a more fantastical and bombastic one seen in most other Hollywood superhero fare, the director explained that she did so in service of what she saw as a psychological, cerebral nature of the titular heroine's powers. Yeah. I mean, you can see right here, Madam Web. That's Madam Web. This is not Madam Web. In light of the supposed desire to keep the film from getting too in the sky with its plot, the Marvel's Jessica Jones and Marvel's Defenders director then revealed that Cassandra's story takes place completely separate from either the MCU, Sony's aforementioned Spider-Man without a Spider-Man universe, or any other established continuity. This just doesn't make any sense. However, while Clarkson appears to frame the decision to exile Madam Web from Marvel Cinematic Universes as a purely creative one, given a recent whisper on the digital street, it seems more likely that the movie was decided upon thanks to Sony execs absolutely destroying both the film's internal and franchise timeline in service of chasing marketing synergy with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Per veteran Hollywood industry reporter and eponymous founder of the In Snyder entertainment news outlet Jeff Snyder, who first relayed the rumor via the January 19th episode of his film and film critic John Roca's The Hot Mic podcast app, because of the film setting some time in the Sony universe's past, Madam Web studio handlers thought for some reason that Andrew Garfield was going to be Spider-Man in that world. Say what? Not that he was going to be in the movie, but like maybe this is for sequels or whatever. He added, but for whatever reason, Andrew Garfield was supposed to be the Spider-Man in that world. I'll tell you, they have really botched this entire thing. If you're going to do Madam Web, make her Madam Web from the comics. Tie her into Spider-Man. Have Spider-Man appear in the movie. If you're going to do a spiderverse, Sony, you need to have some continuity. Spider-Man needs to be there in Morbius, Madam Web, Venom, Kraven the Hunter, et al. So I'm going to leave it up to you guys. What do you guys think of this Madam Web being a standalone project, not tied to anything in the Spider-Verse? Let me know in the comments. While you're at it, please take the time to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, hit that notification bell so you don't miss a video, and with that, I will see you guys later.